Have I just made a big mistake? I've been really enjoying making these free bike flip videos, and the fact that people are liking, commenting, and subscribing due to the content that I'm putting out, it just shows me that you guys like it too, and I love that. And picking up bikes for free is as easy as you think. You literally just go on Marketplace, find the one you want, message the person, get the address, go pick it up. Done. Simple as that. But for every bike that I pick up, there would be at least 10 that I miss out on. So I thought, if I could pick up a few bikes and stockpile them, then I don't have to worry about when the time comes to film a new video about not having a bike to actually make a video with. But did I just ruin a good thing? The beauty about just getting one single bike is that I can look at the picture on Marketplace and pretty much know everything that the bike needs, and I can work out in my head the basic outcome with costs and the sale price. But what I have behind me is an impulse buy of a few bad photos online, and I have no idea what the outcome's gonna be. So I've just picked up 15 bikes of all different types of sizes and disciplines, from dual suspension mountain bikes to fixies to vintage lugged steel frames through to your urban commuters. Now, are they all free? Not quite. 2 of them were completely free and picked up roadside. The other ones cost me $100 in total, but the catch was that I had to take all of them off this guy's hands. Now, I have no doubt that I can make $100 back off of everything that I have here quite easily. But there are a few bikes here that are in a really sorry state, and I just don't know whether it's actually financially viable to fork out any money to actually fix them and get them back on the road. But I mean, we'll see what we can do. Okay, new day, week 5. And I thought instead of doing bike 5, we do 5 bikes. So this week's video, I've got these 5 bikes behind me, and we're gonna give them a quick tidy up, take some photos of them and sell them. And I'll try and do all of the work in just the one day. I've already ordered the parts, so I'm ready to go. Some of them aren't that great, but I'll still get a couple of dollars for them. Some of them are quite easy flips. One that is gonna cost the most is this pedal Ranger. It needs the most amount of gear. So it needs a new tire, chain, and grips. And hopefully we can get that money back out in the sale. So I'll get all these bikes out of the way, and I'll jump over to the voiceover and I'll start tearing all this stuff down and working my way through. All right, so first bike on the list, we have this Cross Lee. It's an extra small size mountain bike. You can see it's probably one of the dirtiest bikes out of the 5 that I have. But overall, mechanically, it worked quite well. I just needed a small adjustment to the rear brake and the rear derailleur. The front brake was okay, just needed to be reattached. Just a basic declutter. So I got rid of the bell and the reflector off the front, then just adjusted the shifter and the brake lever in slightly to match the length of the grips. And then I just had these bar ends laying around, so I just banged them in the end just to tidy it up a bit. You can see here all of the cables are externally routed on this frame, but none of the cable management is really in place anymore. So I just got some zip ties and went through and zip tied all the cables back up to where they should be. And then once I'd cut off all the excess, you can just fold those zip tie heads back in, flush up under the frame. They sit inside the cable guides quite neatly. And then just for good measure, I'll just put a cable tie on the front just to tidy it up a little bit. And that's that bike done. Next up, we have this Reed Condor, which is a road bike in a small size. And you can see it's quite dirty. The bar tape isn't really on correctly. It's missing a seat. With these bikes, the guy that I bought them off, he actually collects these bikes roadside in Brisbane. He doesn't have any of the lock codes. So any of the locks on these bikes that I've collected, I just have to cut them off. I just put this bit of timber here just for safety's sake, so I don't cut through into the frame. Now, it didn't have a seat, but when I picked up this bike, it come with a heap of different seats. So I just picked a slimline road style looking saddle that sort of matched the bike. The rear dork disc, I was going to show how to remove it while it was still on the bike with just a pair of wire cutters. However, you can see here it was that brittle that I'd basically just touched it and it just fell to pieces. So it was just a matter of pulling out small pieces one by one. Then, as with every bike, basic declutter on the handlebars. So removing any reflectors, bells, any random mounts. So it had a light mount on there which just unscrewed and popped off. And then here, the front brake cable has obviously been replaced at some stage in its life, and they've just wrapped up the excess. So I just cut that off and then just put a new ferrule on the end of it just to tidy up the look a bit. So that was purely aesthetic. It didn't affect the use in it in any way. Next up, just strip the bar tape off the bars. I didn't want to go spend too much money on this bike because I don't think I'm going to get that much out of it. So I just reused the bar tape. It was like a rubbery kind of finish, so it actually stretched back into place pretty well. I did both sides so they matched nice and neat, and then just put in some old bar ends that I had laying around, which were just some BMX ones that I've had in a box for years. So up next we have this Avanti Discovery. It's a large frame bike, just an urban commuter. It's kind of dirty with a lot of superficial rust. Now the person that I'll probably market this more towards will be like the older person who just wants a bike to cycle around to the shops and for a bit of sort of general fitness. So I'm leaving the reflectors on the bike. So I'm just using a bit of WD-40 and very fine steel wool just to tidy up any of these areas that have some superficial rust, so you can see from one side to the other the difference that makes. And with the handlebars, I didn't notice until I'd started, but the shifters were on upside down, and I thought, oh, that's easy fix, I'll just flip the handlebars around and bolt them back on. But then I flipped the handlebars around, all the cable routing was fine, but then the handlebars were backwards. So I couldn't get the grips off easily, so I just cut them off, sacrificed them, and while the bars were off, just gave them a quick sand and hit with some gloss black paint just to tidy them up a bit. And then I just used the cheap grips that I had, which were the $6 ones from the last video. Next up, we have the Pedal London. This is a fixed gear, single speed bike with like the flip-flop rear hub. So this needed the least amount of work. All I did was removed the rear wheel and flipped it around so the tread on the tire was going in the right direction. This just changed it from a freewheel to a fixed gear. I normally sell them as a fixed gear anyway. Yeah, all I did here was just a really basic tidy up. Removed the reflectors, removed the bell, and then I just soaked the chain in WD-40. Now this bike here needed the most amount of work. This is a Pedal Ranger. As you can see, the grips are in a bad way. The rear tire is completely bald and the chain is not in a salvageable condition at all. So first step, it's becoming a pretty common thing. The tire was just the wrong rotation. So I just flipped the wheel around, put it back on, and reconnected the brakes. Then I just went through, did a basic declutter again. So I removed anything off the handlebars, removed the reflectors off the wheels, and also removed the kickstand. These are just things that make it look like a cheaper bike. So you're removing these things, it makes it appear more high-end when you take the photos of it and when someone comes to look at it. So next, I just put the chain down into the smallest gear. It makes it easier to get the rear wheel off. And instead of using my chain tool, I just cut through it. It was going in the bin anyway. There was no point using a chain tool to get this off. Now we got a new rear tyre which had the most similar tread pattern to the front tyre. So I quickly swapped that over. Then I removed the rear axle and re-greased the bearings. It was quite loose and that had dried out all the grease inside from just riding it loose for so long. So a quick re-grease, tighten it back up, and then threw that back on the bike, and yeah, works like brand new now. So with the rear wheel installed, one of the last things to do was put a new chain on it. And like most of my videos, all these parts in this video I ordered from Pushys. It only took a couple of days to come, so yeah, really fast turnaround, really happy with those guys, and really good price. So last thing was just to replace the grips and adjust the levers into the right position. And then it was off to give all these 5 bikes a wash. So, I mean, it's a pretty tedious task doing the same thing over and over again, but it is what makes the biggest difference when you go to sell a bike. All of these bikes that come to me were in reasonably good condition overall, but they were that dirty that you wouldn't look twice at them if you've seen them on Marketplace. And then once I go through and wash them all, the ones that needed it, I just gave a quick polish, and then it was a matter of just going through, checking that all the tires were pumped up to the right pressure, that all of the levers and things were in the right position. And here, unfortunately, this is what we're putting back into landfill, but it is a lot less than 5 entire bikes. And there we have it, 5 bikes in one day, all ready to go and all looking great. So at this stage, we are about $200 all in, and that is for all 15 bikes, the fuel to go and collect them, and the parts for just these 5 bikes here. And I think that the sale of these 5 bikes here is gonna far surpass the $200 that we've invested so far, which means that the remaining 10 bikes that we have out there will be entirely profit, bar the parts that we need for them. So all that's left to do now is take a heap of photos of these bikes and list them up for sale, and we'll see how we go. As always, we need to take at least one of these bikes out for a ride. So I've taken all the bikes here around the block, tested the brakes, made sure there's no rubbing, no weird noises, and that all the gears are changing correctly. However, I don't think that a long ride for a 6'2" me is going to be possible on this bike. So I'm thinking I'll take the pedal Ranger out for a cruise around and we'll get them all sold. We're out and about, and I've got the pedal Ranger. I thought take my daughter along with me, and she's testing out the Cross Lee. So we're going to do probably only 10 Ks. But we'll do 5 Ks out to a nice little spot by the water and maybe take some photos and then turn around and cruise home. and then use your body for balance. That's it. Good job.
That was like the longest one.
Yeah. All right, so that is us wrapping up the video. Hopefully you like this one. It's a little bit longer than I probably should have made it, but yeah, if you want to follow along any future free bike builds and flips, if you want to like, subscribe, or share to somebody else that might be keen on this sort of content. But yeah, until the next one. So, what am I gonna say?
I don't know. What are you gonna say?
We're out and about, and I thought, I don't know, I don't think. Hi guys, get ready with me this morning. We're gonna dress up as Taylor Swift. Oh my goodness.